When I look back at my life, I realize how many people are trapped in a dangerous illusion, the idea that they have more time than they actually do. I often tell stories about starting Alibaba late, about failing multiple times. But the truth behind my humility is sharper than it sounds. Most people they wait for the right moment, perfect plan, the ideal circumstances. Waiting feels safe. Waiting feels polite. But waiting is the silent killer of dreams. Every day you postpone action, the world moves on without you. The 21-day mindset reset starts with one brutal truth. Tomorrow is never guaranteed, and success belongs to those who refuse to wait. I remember in my early days sitting in a small, dimly lit office with a few friends talking about ideas while doing almost nothing about them. Everyone around me seemed comfortable telling themselves, I'll start next week, or maybe I'll try after the holidays. That is the trap. The more you wait, the more invisible excuses grow roots in your mind. Winners understand that clarity doesn't come before action. It comes through action. You don't wait for motivation. You create it. You don't wait for the world to approve your plan. You start building it in silence. The moment you stop waiting is the moment momentum begins. The lie of more time is seductive because it feels harmless. People say, I'll start tomorrow, thinking nothing is lost. But I can tell you from experience, every missed day adds weight to fear and self-doubt. Fear grows silently while you sleep. The world only remembers doers, not talkers. And those who act today are the ones who will lead tomorrow. Waiting is the luxury of the average, the safe, and the unambitious. Winners never afford that luxury. They understand that life doesn't wait for anyone, and neither should their dreams. That is why the 21-day reset begins with a commitment to immediacy. For the next 3 weeks, you will train yourself to act, even when conditions are imperfect. You will practice moving first and adjusting later. You will learn that clarity emerges from courage, not contemplation. Every morning you wake up, ask yourself, am I waiting or am I winning? The answer you give defines whether you remain trapped in illusions or step boldly into your new reality. Remember, failure is a stepping stone, but inaction is a trap. Luck is when preparation meets opportunity, and preparation only begins when you refuse to wait. If you can embrace the discomfort of immediate action, the world will start bending to your momentum. Waiting is optional, but winning is urgent. This first lesson is simple but powerful. Stop postponing life. Start winning now. When most people think about change, they focus on actions, new routines, new exercises, new habits. But the first and most hidden step is identity. I have told people many times that I started late in business, that I faced repeated rejection and failure. But the deeper lesson is this. If you think like the old you, you will continue living the old life. Nothing external will create transformation until your inner self evolves. The 21-day mindset reset is designed to force that evolution. It is short enough to maintain focus, but long enough to rewire your brain to think like a winner. I remember my early days of building Alibaba. Many friends asked me why I worked tirelessly, why I stayed up nights studying, meeting investors, or revising business plans when nothing seemed to be happening. The truth was simple. I was becoming a new version of myself. I was crafting an identity that refused to accept average. Each small action, each challenge I faced was not just a step toward profit. It was a statement. I am someone who perseveres, someone who transforms setbacks into growth. The 21-day reset works the same way. It is not about waiting to feel motivated. It is about acting in alignment with the person you aim to become. In these 21 days, you will deliberately speak, think, and behave as your new self. You will choose courage over comfort, action over hesitation, and clarity over confusion. Every decision reinforces the new identity. This is why short, intense cycles are powerful. They compress learning and force change at a speed the mind cannot ignore. Old habits resist. Old thoughts fight back. But the more consistently you show up as the new you, the faster the old self diminishes. Winners understand that identity precedes results. Who you are on the inside determines what you achieve on the outside. Think of it like molding clay. You can try to decorate the surface with actions alone, but if the shape beneath is weak, it will crumble. The 21-day reset shapes your foundation first. By deliberately choosing your language, your focus, and your reactions, you begin living as a person who does not wait. You embody decisiveness, persistence, and courage. And once your identity shifts, action follows naturally. Motivation becomes irrelevant because the new you simply acts. The world is full of people who try to change without changing themselves. They hope a new calendar, a new app, or a new environment will make them different. But real transformation is always internal first. This is the forbidden truth many never talk about. Your actions will never outpace your identity. In these 21 days, you are not just forming habits. You are becoming a person who cannot return to the old patterns. You are creating a version of yourself that the world will have no choice but to notice, respect, and ultimately follow. One of the most dangerous traps I have seen in my life and in the lives of countless others is overthinking. People wait for perfect conditions, for the stars to align, or for a flawless plan before taking action. I often share stories of rejection, like being turned down by KFC or countless investors. Early in my career, but the hidden lesson is simple. I moved while others hesitated. Winners understand that thinking alone cannot create momentum. Action is the bridge between dreams and reality, and it is only built by moving, even imperfectly. The 21-day reset is designed to break analysis paralysis and teach you that progress begins the moment you step forward. I remember sitting with friends in my small apartment in Hangzhou debating every possible risk before launching even the smallest project. We worried about competition, about failure, about what others would say. Meanwhile, those who acted were already learning, adapting, and gaining leverage. I realized that waiting for clarity often produces only more confusion. Every day spent overanalyzing is a day lost to fear. In the reset, the first command is start now, adjust later. Small steps compounded over 3 weeks produce far more transformation than waiting for the perfect leap. Think about the way rivers cut through mountains. They don't pause to plan. They flow relentlessly. And over time, they carve a path. Your action works the same way. Momentum grows only when you move consistently. During the 21-day reset, every task you complete, every decision you make, even if it is imperfect, teaches your brain that you are capable of taking charge. This is the quiet, unstoppable force that separates winners from dreamers. The world rewards action, not deliberation, and the sooner you accept this truth, the faster you break free from stagnation. This chapter is also about courage disguised as simplicity. Many people believe they need inspiration before they act, but in reality, inspiration follows action. Winners manufacture momentum with motion, not motivation. Overthinking is a comfortable trap. It makes you feel busy while accomplishing nothing. The 21-day reset forces you to confront this lie head-on. You take control of your life by moving first and thinking later, letting progress, not hesitation, define your path. Every day, ask yourself, am I acting or am I waiting? The answers you give will determine whether these 21 days become a turning point or just another routine that passes unnoticed. Remember, the world only remembers doers, not talkers. Fear of imperfection is the enemy of success, but imperfect action becomes your ally. Once you embrace this, momentum takes over, fear loses power, and waiting becomes irrelevant. Stop thinking. Start moving. The rest will follow naturally. That one of the hidden reasons people wait instead of winning is fear of judgment, fear of failure, fear of being seen as not enough. I often speak about keeping a calm heart, but what I rarely say outright is that emotional discipline is one of the most powerful weapons a person can have. Winners understand that their emotions shape every decision, every action, every step towards success. If your heart is noisy, your mind is weak, and your dreams will be sabotaged long before the world even has a chance. The 21-day mindset reset begins with learning to separate yourself from the emotional noise that keeps you trapped in indecision. I remember the early days when rejection felt like a personal attack. Investors laughed at my ideas, friends doubted my vision, and even family questioned my sanity for leaving a secure path. Each no was an opportunity to learn, but only after I learned to control my reactions. I had to stop letting anger, doubt, or frustration rule my actions. I realized that patience alone was not enough. Emotional control was the secret lever that allowed me to act decisively when others were frozen in fear. The 21-day reset uses this principle. When your emotions are under control, your actions become consistent, predictable, and unstoppable. Many people think they need motivation to succeed, but motivation is fleeting. It is often dictated by emotions themselves. Winners, however, cultivate a mental space that cannot be shaken by external noise. This chapter teaches you how to build that space. You will learn to recognize emotional triggers, to step back before reacting, and to make choices rooted in strategy rather than impulse. Waiting is often a disguised fear. Emotional mastery transforms fear into fuel. Once you break your emotional chains, hesitation loses its grip. Decisions that once felt terrifying suddenly becomes simple, clear, and unavoidable. The 21 Today Reset is not about suppressing feelings but redirecting them. Every complaint, every irritation, every distraction that normally drains your energy will be transformed into focus and clarity. Winners know that emotional discipline compounds faster than skill or knowledge. It allows you to respond rather than react, to act when others freeze, and to rise when others retreat. By the end of these 3 weeks, your emotional baseline will shift. You will act from a place of strength rather than weakness, from certainty rather than doubt. Remember, the world rewards those who can act calmly under pressure. Waiting often masks emotional immaturity. It is easier to pause than to confront internal chaos. But in the 21 Today Reset, you will face yourself. You will understand that every decision, every action, every step toward winning begins with mastery over your own heart. Control your emotions and the world becomes easier to navigate. Fear loses its power, hesitation vanishes, and winning becomes inevitable. One of the most overlooked reasons people stay stuck is their environment. We often blame ourselves for inaction, but the truth is that your surroundings shape your habits, your mindset, and ultimately your destiny. I have always believed that you are the average of the people you spend the most time with, and in my early years, I saw it firsthand. Friends who complained, doubted, or simply accepted mediocrity held me back far more than any lack of skill or knowledge. The 21-day mindset reset begins by confronting this silence. Trap your comfort zone is often enforced by everyone around you. When I started Alibaba, I realized that the offices, cities, and even social circles I chose either propelled me forward or dragged me down. I had to leave behind people who didn't understand ambition, routine that wasted time, and habits that encouraged procrastination. Most people stay waiting because their environment encourages safety and comfort. Winners, however, know that to accelerate, you must disrupt the ecosystem that normalizes stagnation. This chapter teaches you how to examine every part of your daily life, from the people you meet to the routines you follow, and ask one question: does this support winning, or does it hold me back? The 21-day reset is an intensive period of reorientation. You will notice where your environment has been subtly programming you to wait. Toxic relationships, distracting habits, even seemingly small routines can act like chains that slow your progress. By eliminating or adjusting these factors, you create space for growth, focus, and momentum. I had to make tough choices early in life, turning down friendships, relocating my workspaces, and even cutting off toxic partnerships. Each decision felt uncomfortable at first, but they were necessary to create the fertile ground where my ideas could grow. Many people underestimate the power of environmental influence because it feels invisible, yet it determines your default mindset far more than any self-help book or motivational speech ever will. Winners surround themselves with energy that encourages boldness, discipline, and progress. The 21-day reset shows you how to transform your physical and social environment into a launchpad for success. It's not about escaping life. It's about choosing the conditions that allow you to win. Remember, waiting often isn't laziness. It is the environment telling you to pause. But when you consciously design a world that favors action, hesitation disappears. Your surroundings stop being a trap and start being your secret weapon. By the end of these 21 days, you will understand why the people, places, and routines around you are either your allies or your chains, and how to ensure they all serve your winning journey. Many people dream of success, but underestimate the power of discipline. They think excitement, motivation, or luck will carry them through. I have often smiled when telling people about the long nights I spent building Alibaba, but behind that smile is a harsh truth. Real transformation comes from sustained, relentless discipline, not fleeting bursts of enthusiasm. Discipline is the bridge between your goals and your accomplishments, and without it, the 21-day reset cannot succeed. It forces you to act consistently, even when you don't feel like it, and even when results are not immediate. I remember the early mornings and late nights, when the office was empty except for a few of us working tirelessly. Investors doubted us, competitors laughed, and every small setback threatened to break morale. But discipline allowed us to push forward. Each repeated effort, every small adjustment stacked upon the last, create momentum that was invisible at first, but unstoppable over time. Winners understand that action without structure is chaos, but structured action compounds into results. During the 21-day reset, you are not just acting, you are training your mind and body to respond with consistent effort, no matter the circumstances. Discipline also teaches patience and resilience. Most people quit at the first sign of discomfort, but winners know that discomfort is where growth lives. They build habits that become automatic, so progress no longer depends on fleeting motivation. This is why the reset is designed for 21 days, long enough to instill new habits, short enough to maintain focus and intensity. The curve of discipline is steep at first, uncomfortable and often resisted by the mind, but each day you push through strengthens your resolve. Soon, what was once hard becomes natural. Another hidden truth is that discipline protects you from distraction and indecision. In a world full of noise, opinions, temptations, and excuses, structured habits act as a shield. Winners don't wait for clarity or inspiration. They show up every day, do the work, and let results follow. The 21-day reset trains you to make consistency automatic, so you no longer have to rely on willpower alone. Motivation is unreliable, but discipline is unshakable. Remember, the most successful people aren't necessarily the smartest or the most talented. They are the most disciplined. They turn small, repetitive actions into exponential growth. During these 21 days, you will learn that discipline is not punishment. It is freedom. Freedom from indecision, from fear, from the paralyzing trap of waiting. Once you master it, hesitation no longer has a place in your life, and winning becomes a natural outcome. We all know the story of Steve Jobs being fired from Apple, and at first it feels like just another overused motivational cliche. But the truth behind this story perfectly illustrates why the 21-day mindset reset works. Jobs didn't wait for Apple to save him. He didn't mope, complain, or beg. Instead, he used that moment of rejection as a forced reinvention, a reset that transformed him into a stronger, more resilient version of himself. In these 21 days, you are given a similar opportunity, a mini fired from Apple moment, a chance to shed your old limitations and step fully into your new identity. I remember when I faced repeated rejection in my own journey applications, investors, partnerships all said no. Many people would have stopped there. They would have waited for the right opportunity or for someone to give them permission to move. But rejection is not the end. It is a signal. Jobs recognized that losing his position was an opportunity to rediscover his purpose and push beyond what he thought was possible. Winners take these forced resets and accelerate faster than those who wait for favorable circumstances. The 21-day reset is your personal version of this period designed to break old patterns and launch a new trajectory. The lesson here is simple, but often ignored. Transformation rarely comes gently. It comes in the form of a jolt, a disruption, a moment that forces you to confront your weaknesses and reinvent yourself. During the reset, you will feel this. It may be uncomfortable. You may feel exposed or uncertain, but these feelings are signs that your identity is being reshaped. Just as Jobs created a new vision for himself, you are creating a new standard for what you will accept from yourself and from life. Another hidden truth is that resilience alone is not enough. Reinvention under pressure is what separates winners from the crowd. Jobs didn't merely recover. He returned stronger, wiser, and with a new identity that demanded success. The 21-day reset works the same way. It doesn't just encourage action. It forces transformation. It challenges you to adopt habits, thoughts, and behaviors that your old self could never sustain. By the end of this cycle, hesitation, fear, and doubt no longer dictate your choices. Remember, cliches endure for a reason. They work. But the real power lies in understanding the hidden principle behind them. Fourth, reinvention under pressure produces growth that waiting and comfort never can. In these 21 days, you are intentionally stepping into your own fired from Apple moment. Embrace it. Let it break you from old limitations. Let it rebuild you into someone unstoppable. Winning begins when you refuse to wait and start evolving immediately. Of the most misunderstood truths about success is the role of rejection. Most people avoid it, fear it, or take it personally, and because of that, they wait, waiting for validation, for acceptance, or for a green light that may never come. I have shared stories about being rejected over and over 10 times by KFC, dozens by investors, and countless times by people who simply couldn't see my vision. But the deeper lesson is never fully revealed. Rejection is not a dead end. It is rocket fuel. Winners don't fear it. They harness it. The 21-day mindset reset teaches you to convert every no into momentum, every closed door into a push forward. I remember the first time I faced a major investor rejection. Most would have walked away, their confidence shattered. I felt the sting too, but I realized that each rejection was a signal, a chance to sharpen my ideas, refine my strategy, and test my resilience. Each no became data. Each obstacle became a mirror showing me what needed improvement. In these 21 days, you will learn to see rejection the same way. It is not a reflection of your worth. It is an acceleration tool, forcing you to adapt, pivot, and act with greater precision. The secret is emotional control. Most people let rejection sting, fester, and influence their decisions. Winners, however, separate emotion from strategy. They don't take no personally. They take it as feedback. They ask themselves, what can I learn? How can I do better? How can I move faster? The 21-day reset trains you to respond to rejection immediately rather than retreat. By the end, you will have transformed fear of judgment into a driving force for action. Each no becomes a catalyst. Each setback a spark. Momentum compounds when rejection loses its power over you. I have seen countless entrepreneurs and professionals stuck, waiting for approval that never comes. By embracing rejection, you break free from waiting, from hesitation, and from the invisible chains of other people's opinions. The 21-day reset is your laboratory for learning this principle. You will practice taking action despite discomfort, and each step will prove that the world is not an obstacle, it is your training ground. Remember, rejection is inevitable, but being paralyzed by it is optional. Winners turn every refusal into propulsion. They convert humiliation into strategy, fear into energy, and doubt into clarity. In these 21 days, you will learn to treat rejection not as a threat, but as a secret ally. When rejection stops controlling you, momentum takes over, and winning becomes inevitable. One of the most subtle traps that keeps people waiting is the illusion of perfection. Many believe they must have the flawless plan, the perfect timing, or complete confidence before they act. I have often been asked how I achieved success with so many failures along the way, and the answer is always the same. I focused on momentum, not perfection. Waiting for everything to align is a guaranteed way to stay stuck. The 21-day mindset reset teaches you that imperfect action, repeated consistently, compounds into unstoppable progress. I remember the early days of Alibaba when our systems were clunky, our website barely functional, and our team small and inexperienced. Each step was messy and each decision had flaws. But what mattered was that we kept moving. Every small win built confidence, taught lessons, and created energy that couldn't be stopped. Perfection was never the goal, forward motion was. Winners understand that action, even messy, imperfect, and incomplete action, creates opportunities that waiting for perfection will never produce. In 21 days, you will learn to prioritize progress over polish, to embrace mistakes as fuel, and to let momentum carry you past doubt and fear. The reset is structured to show you that small steps taken every day compound into dramatic results. One action leads to another, and soon you find yourself moving faster, thinking clear, and achieving more than you imagined. Many people restart their goals every Monday because they are waiting for a perfect plan or an ideal mood, but momentum grows only when you act consistently. The 21-day framework forces you to take imperfect action, proving that excellence is a byproduct of movement, not its prerequisite. Another hidden truth is that momentum builds confidence. Each small step reinforces your identity as someone who acts decisively. Fear loses its grip, indecision fades, and waiting becomes irrelevant. The more you move, the less the world's obstacles matter. By focusing on momentum instead of perfection, you break free from the cycle of hesitation and waiting that traps so many people. In these 21 days, you will see how stacking tiny wins can make progress inevitable, even when the journey feels chaotic or incomplete. Remember, the world doesn't reward perfectionists, it rewards doers. Luck is when preparation meets action, and preparation grows fastest through momentum, not endless planning. The 21-day reset is your chance to experience this firsthand. Imperfect action creates energy, energy creates learning, and learning accelerates results. Stop waiting for the perfect moment, start moving now. Each small step compounds into unstoppable momentum, and that is the secret that turns waiting into winning. The final stage of the 21-day mindset reset is about more than action. It's about transformation. Most people think change is temporary, something you try when motivated and abandon when life gets difficult. I have often said that success comes from persistence, but the hidden truth is even deeper. Winners don't just try to change, they become someone for whom winning is inevitable. The new normal is not a set of actions, It's identity, a version of yourself that no longer waits, hesitates, or doubts. After 21 days of disciplined action, emotional control, and momentum, this identity begins to solidify and life responds to the new standard you've set. I remember the first time I realized that Alibaba was more than a company. It was a reflection of who I had become. I had evolved without noticing through countless days of imperfect action, rejection, and relentless discipline. The habits, decisions, and mindset shifts became automatic. I no longer had to think about being productive, resilient, or strategic. That is what the new normal feels like. The 21-day reset is a condensed version of this process designed to rapidly anchor new behaviors, beliefs, and standards into your daily life so that the old, hesitant version of you cannot return. Creating the new normal also requires vigilance. You cannot revert to waiting once you've tasted momentum. Your environment, your discipline, and your emotional mastery must continue to reinforce your new identity. In these 21 days, you will learn to anchor yourself through habits that feel natural, yet powerful rituals that make action automatic, decisions immediate, and growth unstoppable. Winners understand that change isn't a one-time event. It is a continuous process of becoming. The reset gives you the blueprint, but your new normal becomes the ongoing standard for every decision you make. Another hidden layer is that this identity shift transcends external validation. When you reach this level, you no longer depend on approval, recognition, or the world's permission to act. You have become untouchable in your focus, unshakable in your confidence, and unstoppable in your drive. Waiting is eliminated because your baseline is action, progress, and results. The 21-day reset doesn't just teach skills, it teaches you how to embody them, turning transformation into a permanent way of being. Remember, the most dangerous form of waiting is the illusion that change can be temporary. The new normal is permanent because it is built on identity, not just behavior. After these 21 days, you do not return to your old life, you rise above it. Motivation becomes unnecessary, fear becomes irrelevant, and winning becomes your baseline. You no longer wait, because action is no longer optional, it is who you are. This is the ultimate secret of transformation. The hidden truth behind why winners never wait, they have become the new normal.